Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing right now.
I've been blogging since long before blogging was a word, publishing the Locker Room newsletter through email to over 100,000 people regularly. And that kind of evolved. It's taken on a life of its own. We're still in the process of porting that over, lockergnome.com that is, to a place where you guys will be able to blog and participate and generate revenue from your knowledge. Not quite there yet. It takes time and expertise to, cross the finish line there. So, any old way, I started my personal blog a few years ago. I believe it was 2002 when blogging software became a little more widely available, at least to those of us who are a little ahead of the curve. And because of that, since I've been blogging at chris.pirillo.com for that long, it's helped me rise to become the number one Chris on Google. So if you search Google for the word Chris, you'll find me there at the top. It's impossible not to find me. And of course, now we're also streaming live video at live.pirillo.com, although I have taken to embedding the live video feed into my blog as well, so people who are stopping by are able to find out that we have more than just I do more than just blog posts, and there's an engaging community that, of course, is in the chat room. So it's really fun to be here at this point in time, not just blogging, but being able to help people generate revenue and share their knowledge with their own blogs, or possibly if they're blogging on Locker Gnome, which we'll hopefully be able to do soon. Pixie, what do you think? Are you a blogger? Are you a dog blogger? No? Not so much? Alright, well, I'm going to read these tips here submitted by Matthew Jones. Really appreciate this. He blogs at electricnoise.livejournal.com, although he's got electric noise spelled kind of funky. These are his top 5 lists on how to start and keep a blog. Have you ever started a blog and gave up on it in a few weeks or days after starting it? Happened to me tons of times. Now I have a blog and I've done pretty well with it, keeping it updated and not giving up. Here, I'll give you the tips that I gave myself that helped me keep my blog. And that's important. A lot of people who start blogs or podcasts or videos or whatever they're doing, publishing content on the net, will do it like for a few weeks and then just quit because they find out it's a lot of work. I mean, it's a lot of dedication. I keep myself motivated every day just because, I like doing it. And I figured out how to really make a living out of helping people, make money with the knowledge that they have inside their head. Number 1, decide what it's going to be about. If you're writing for a particular audience, write what the audience wants to read. If you're trying to reach out to D&D fans, don't start writing about the Civil War. Only write about D&D and related topics. If you're going for a more general audience, research what you're going to update about and see if it's already been blogged to death. Everyone blogs about politics, so stay away from it unless your story is less than 12 hours old. That's true, but I think the bottom line is write what you know. It's one of the reasons why the videos that we do are largely focused on tech, although there are times that we branch out when I get top 5 lists from you guys about topics that I may know a little about, but largely might not, and it's pretty apparent when you guys send in your top 5 tips, whether you understand the topic at hand or if you have an opinion or not. Number 2, don't be concerned about comments. Just because someone doesn't comment on an entry, that doesn't mean that people aren't reading it. It most likely means they didn't have anything to say about it. I've read tons of articles and blogs that I've never commented on because I felt that everything needed to be said and had been said in the entry itself or was already in the comments. This doesn't mean to completely ignore comments. If no one ever comments in your blog, that almost certainly means that no one is reading. I prefer to have comments disabled in my live journal so I don't have to worry about it. Instead, I let my readers comment me by email. It's very true. I like to encourage comments a variety of ways, and usually it's writing about something that I know people have opinions about. And there are times that I do blog about personal issues. I can tell you that I also use Twitter to really see if I'm wanting to talk about something that resonates. For instance, the other day I twittered something it was something like, note to self, don't join a podcast network. And I had like 15 responses almost immediately asking why, what's wrong, what's up, and so now I know I'm going to have to write about it, or at least talk about why I think the podcast networks are really not doing people any favors in this entire game. That being said, I've worked with podcast networks in a loose sense, one of the podcast networks brought to me Audible as potential sponsor. They said, well, they said drive traffic to audiblepodcast.com/Chris. So now it's up to you to go to that URL, and if you want to get a free ebook, you can sign up at that URL. I can't say whether you're going to do that or not, but that's a relationship that particular podcast network brought me. So we'll see if it's worth anything. But I agree. You don't be too concerned about comments. Just because you don't have any comments doesn't make what you're writing or saying any less valid than it is. Number 3, let your readers know when you're gone. If you're going on vacation and won't be updating for a while, let your readers know. They may think that you've abandoned the blog or didn't update about it, and you might remove you from your subscription list if you subscribe in a newsreader. This will decrease the number of readers to your blog. That's true. I try to post something every day. It doesn't always happen. But I'm certainly active, and people know where to find me. If I'm not streaming video or posting something, then I've likely disappeared off the globe. Number 4, make sure you like your blog. If you don't like the way your blog looks or your URL, change it. And your URL being like the web address. My URL is chris.pirillo.com. It's a vanity name. I'm very glad I got that URL, and I don't think I could ever change it. I've gone through this myself. I changed the look of my previous journals countless times before I became completely happy with it. However, you may just think that other people don't like your look, so you need to get opinions. If you change the look of your blog, people may stop reading due to the lack of familiarity. That's true. I really can't stand the theme on my blog. I can't stand it at all. It's in WordPress, and I've seen plenty of WordPress themes, but none of them really work, and I don't have time to tweak it, and I'm not a designer, so it's really kind of difficult for me to find. And there, unfortunately, a lot of the designers who would be able to fix it might cost a lot of money, and I don't necessarily have a lot of money. So anyway, I've spent all my money on my new Mac, so I don't have any money for a blog design. All right, number 5, get a life. Instead of worrying about what your next update will be about, get out and do something. If you just sit at the computer all day and tweak on your blog, it's going to get to be a very boring read. I've learned that the less time you spend worrying about your blog, the more content you'll have to write about. But just make sure it's interesting, because quantity does not equal quality. That's very true. One of the reasons why I'm very careful about blogging is because, number 1, I know it's permanent, and number 2, I know that if I post something, I want it to be something that somebody wants to see, whether it's my regular audience or someone who may find me through Google. There are many ways you can drive traffic to your blog and get attention for what you're doing, and I'll get into that in another tips list. It's another reason why I try to carve out every particular segment into a separate blog post. If I recorded an hour-long video a day, no one would ever watch it. No one would ever sit through it because it wasn't broken down. It wasn't digested. I make sure that when we post a video, we make sure we post the text with it. So Kat helps me facilitate a lot of that stuff, and for that I'm very, very grateful. I decided in this particular video to leave the chat unmoderated, and I hope everybody's kind of behaving. The reason why is because a blog is not so much... I mean, there's many ways you can define it, but it's not so much about you. It's about the things that you're doing with the rest of the world. So it's one of the reasons why I've really appreciated the YouTube community, appreciated being on Twitter, appreciated MySpace, Facebook, all these other places where people are finding out what we're doing. It is a very interesting way of looking at not just life itself, but sharing your life and your interests and your passions and your expertise with the rest of the world. And you can do that with your blog. You can do anything with your blog, and you can use a variety of platforms for your blog. And like I said, we're retooling LockerGnome.com, based on a lot of the knowledge that I've generated over the years of generating revenue off of your participation within a community. So it's been successful for even in a limited fashion for those who have been trying it, although I'm not very happy with the way it's working right now. Despite that, we're moving forward with it. Okay, anyway, thanks again for the tips on how to keep and start a blog, or start and keep a blog, I should say, Matthew. Appreciate that. And if anybody else has any tips for blogging or technology or dealing with information overload, you're free to email me. My email address is chris@pirillo.com. And you can also see us chatting away in the chat room. I mean, you can see they're throwing links into the stream. I have no idea if all of them are completely valid, but I think One person just got kicked and banned. Oops. Sorry about that. See, if you don't play along well in the community, you're not welcome. Right, Pixie? Right? We're going to start you a blog. How's that sound? Will you keep it up? Probably not. Anyway, if you'd like to join us in our chat room, we are open 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. And today we had about 2,000 people stop by earlier when I opened up the phone lines and took live calls, a regular discussion about all sorts of things, including bouncing cows. You like the bouncing cows? You can see more of them. Stop by the website, join us in chat. As long as you're a nice person, we want to get to know you. We're open 24 hours a day, as I said before, 7 days a week. Again, as I said before, one place and one place alone, and that's live.perillo.com. We'll see you later.